stop scrolling, because the gods themselves tried to erase this creature from fate, and they still failed. There is a wolf in Norse mythology so terrifying that even the gods tried to chain him before he could grow, because prophecy promised one thing: he would devour Odin when Ragnarök begins. His name is Fenrir, the giant wolf of destiny, the one many call the devourer of gods. Born from Loki and the giantess Angerboda, Fenrir was never just a beast. He was a countdown to the end of the world. The gods raised him in Asgard to keep him under control, but every day he grew larger and stronger, and the more they watched him, the more they realized something chilling. They weren't trying to stop a creature, they were trying to stop destiny. So they made a plan, not with armies or swords, but with chains and a single promise that would cost a god his hand. This is the story of Fenrir, the wolf who broke every bond and brought the gods to their knees. Fenrir grew up inside Asgard, watched closely by the gods. At first, he was only a strange wolf pup, wild, silent, and unnervingly intelligent. But he didn't grow like anything they had ever seen. Day after day, his body swelled with impossible strength. His stare turned colder, and the space around him began to feel smaller, as if the world itself was making room for what he was destined to become. The gods told themselves they were keeping the realm safe by raising him under their eyes, but the truth was simpler. They were afraid. Not just of Fenrir's teeth, but of the prophecy that followed him like a shadow. When Fenrir was still young enough to be approached, the gods decided to test him. They brought out a heavy chain and challenged him as if it were a game. Fenrir, proud and curious, agreed to be bound if he could prove his strength by breaking free. They wrapped him in the first fetter, Leddinger, confident it would hold. Fenrir tensed, the chain groaned, and in a single surge he snapped it like dry wood. The gods tried to hide their panic. They told him it was a test, a contest, nothing more, and they returned with an even stronger binding, Dromi, thicker and harder, forged to resist any strain. Fenrir allowed it again, and again he broke it, this time with even less effort, as if he was learning how to tear the world apart. Now the gods understood. Iron and force would never be enough. So they turned to the dwarves, master smiths of the hidden worlds, and asked for something that wasn't a chain at all, something that could hold a monster even when strength failed. The dwarves created Gleipnir, a ribbon-thin cord that looked almost harmless, soft as silk and light as a strand of cloth. But it was made from impossible ingredients: the sound of a cat's footsteps, the beard of a woman, the roots of a mountain, the sinews of a bear, the breath of a fish, and the spittle of a bird. Things that can't be found because they're not meant to exist. That was the point. Gleipnir was not built to fight strength, it was built to deny it. When the gods brought Gleipnir to Fenrir, he didn't laugh, he didn't boast, he studied it. A cord that thin should be easy to break, but it carried a strange, quiet threat, like a storm hiding behind a clear sky. Fenrir sensed deception. He said he would only allow himself to be bound if the gods offered proof of good faith. One of them must place a hand in his mouth as a pledge that this was truly just a test. Silence fell. No one wanted to do it, because everyone already knew the truth. This time they meant to trap him forever. Only Tyr stepped forward. Tyr was the god most closely associated with courage and law, the one who had dealt with Fenrir without flinching. He reached out and placed his hand between Fenrir's jaws. Then the gods wrapped Gleipnir around Fenrir's limbs and pulled. Fenrir flexed, he strained, he twisted, expecting the cord to snap like the others. But Gleipnir tightened instead. The more he fought, the more it held. In that moment, Fenrir realized the gods had betrayed him. His eyes hardened, and he clamped down. Tyr's hand was taken, and the cost of the gods' fear became permanent. Fenrir roared and thrashed, but the ribbon would not break. To silence him, the gods forced a sword between his jaws, pinning his mouth open so he could not bite again, so he could not close his rage into a single killing strike. Trapped, humiliated, and burning with fury, Fenrir was bound and left to wait. Not for days, not for years, for the end of the world. Because prophecy doesn't disappear when you tie it down. It just becomes quieter, heavier, and more inevitable. And then Ragnarök arrives. The signs of the final age appear. Chaos spreading through the worlds, bonds breaking, order collapsing. When the last battle begins, Fenrir finally pulls against the ribbon one more time, and this time, the world is already falling apart. Gleipnir fails, and the wolf is free. He charges onto the battlefield like a living disaster. His jaws open wider than they should be able to, wide enough to swallow sky and earth in the imagination of the myth. This is no longer a captive creature. This is the prophecy walking. Odin rides into the storm to face him, the Allfather meeting the destiny he tried to avoid. The clash is not a heroic victory. It is a fulfillment. Fenrir lunges, and Odin is devoured. The king of the gods falls into the jaws of the wolf the gods once tried to raise and restrain. In a single act, Fenrir proves that even gods cannot outpace what is written. But the battle does not end there. Vidar, Odin's son, steps forward to answer the death of his father. He is silent, relentless, and built for one purpose. He confronts Fenrir at close range, withstands the terror of those jaws, and strikes back, not with hesitation, but with certainty. And in the end, Fenrir is brought down. The wolf who shattered chains and swallowed a god meets his own fate in the very moment he completes it. Fenrir's story is not just about strength. It is about fear, betrayal, and prophecy. The gods tried to control the future with force and tricks, and the price was paid in blood, honor, and the collapse of their own world. Because in Norse myth, destiny isn't something you defeat. Destiny is something you face, and sometimes it has teeth. Fenrir's story ends the way it began. Not as a victory for anyone, but as proof that destiny always collects its debt. The gods tried to chain a prophecy, to raise a monster inside their walls and pretend control was the same as safety. But every broken fetter only made Fenrir more certain, and every act of fear only sharpened what was coming. When Ragnarök arrived, Fenrir didn't become evil in that moment. He simply became inevitable, the living consequence of everything the gods tried to deny. And that's why the name Devourer of Gods hits so hard. It isn't just about Odin's death, it's about the collapse of certainty. The moment the divine learns it can bleed, lose, and fall like anyone else. Fenrir doesn't only devour a god, he devours the illusion that power can outrun fate. So remember Fenrir not just as a monster, but as a warning carved into myth. The more you try to imprison the future, the more violently it returns. In the end, Ragnarök isn't only a battle, it's the world paying back every lie, every fear, and every broken promise.